Hey there from the KUOW newsroom. This is Seattle Now. I'm Patricia Murphy with a roundup of today's top stories. It's Wednesday, July 9th. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson is planning to backfill funding for Planned Parenthood, potentially slashed by President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Scott Greenstone has more on that story.
Trump's tax and spending bill doesn't allow Medicaid funding to go to Planned Parenthood, potentially costing the organization millions in Washington alone. A judge has temporarily suspended that provision, but if Trump wins on appeal, Governor Ferguson promised on Wednesday to backfill $11 million from the state's health care authority.
It really is sometimes difficult to find the words to communicate just how cruel and wrong something is. But this bill, my God, the impacts will be affecting Washingtonians for years.
Planned Parenthood is known as an abortion provider, but offers other low-cost healthcare services as well. Ferguson and the Democrats have made cuts of their own this year. They recently passed a budget slashing the state's abortion access fund by half. Scott Greenstone, KUOW News.
The sweeping federal budget bill is expected to hit other healthcare facilities as well. Small hospitals in Washington state are facing a difficult economic future. As Oregon Public Broadcasting's Eric Newman reports, they may struggle with finances as a result of the bill.
On Washington state's southwest coast, the critical access hospital Ocean Beach Health is facing serious threats from Medicaid cuts. Last year, their profit was just $8,000. Marianne Keene is the hospital's CEO.
There are hospitals across the state that are on the verge of closure. We are not, but we are not doing well, right? When somebody says I made $8,000 last year, it doesn't look good.
About 24 small hospitals across Washington received distressed hospital grants from the state this year. To qualify, they have to serve Medicaid patients and be experiencing significant financial problems. The new federal cuts will mean fewer insured patients and more financial blows. I'm Eric Newman reporting.
And now that the federal government has passed changes to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also called SNAP, thousands of people in Washington state are at risk of losing benefits. That could mean more people are going to turn to local food banks. KNKX's Mitch Borden reports.
Food banks in Washington are bracing for more people to need their help as SNAP benefits are reduced. In the Tacoma area, Nourish Pierce County operates 22 food banks. Ken Gibson is its deputy director. He says it's already been hard to keep up with the number of people coming to them for help. And with these changes to SNAP, Nourish Pierce County could have to consider changing how it gives out food.
Altering our service hours, our service days, potentially change our service sites and locations. Maybe if we have less food, that might mean that we would need to consolidate.
In a press release sent out last week, Washington Governor Bob Ferguson said changes being made to SNAP could put more than 130,000 people across the state in jeopardy of losing food assistance. I'm Mitch Borden reporting.
In immigration news, cherry harvest season is well underway in Oregon and Washington, but as Alejandro Figueroa reports, some migrant workers aren't showing up.
Workers are now busy playing catch-up, climbing up 12-foot ladders and picking cherries. But a few weeks ago, there weren't that many people here. Ian Chandler runs a cherry orchard in Wasco County. Usually, he starts the harvest season with about 100 workers, but this year, less than half showed up. Chandler says many people come from California, but were afraid of getting pulled over or detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
What's going on right now is that there's just a sense of fear and dread amongst our immigrant workforce that, someone's coming for them. And that fear is causing people not to move and to hunker down.
Some workers told this reporter they're taking the risk anyway. They need to pay rent and buy food. On top of that, there's a lot more cherry crop this year. Farmers are still catching up, and fruit could be left rotting on the field.
That was reporter Alejandro Figueroa. In tech news, today Microsoft launched a new initiative aimed at helping millions of people learn to use and build artificial intelligence tools. Monica Nicholsberg has that story.
In the next 5 years, Microsoft Elevate will donate $4 billion in cash and technology to help philanthropic, educational, and labor groups bring AI to the world. Microsoft also says it will help 20 million people get AI skilling credentials to help them land the jobs of the future.
So we're really trying to think about everybody.
Microsoft President Brad Smith announced the initiative at an event in Seattle and caught up with KUOW after.
And that includes people who will be using and designing AI in the future, people who are designing AI systems for businesses, but consumers as well, students, and teachers who can use AI to better reach and prepare for helping students.
It's the next chapter in Microsoft's long history bringing technology into classrooms. First in the form of PCs, and now AI. Monica Nicholsberg, KUOW News.
Some news from the King County Council now. The council's looking to boost the region's flood preparedness as rescue and recovery efforts continue in Texas Hill Country. The county's flood control district approved a measure to study potential upgrades to early warning systems. County Council member Reagan Dunn chairs the flood district.
What happened in Texas is my worst fear for something happening here. You have a large-scale flood event that happens in the middle of the night. There isn't the infrastructure in place to provide warnings, and that's why people die. And the mistakes that were made in Texas, to the extent they were made, we want to learn from those.
Dunn's motion directs the county to boost its public outreach by translating educational materials into more languages and creating a flood preparedness video. The flood control district says flooding is King County's most common and costly natural disaster. Some music news. The rock group Heart has announced it's canceled its August 8th show at the Gorge Amphitheater. The band didn't say why they called off the show, but don't worry, you still have a chance to see Sisters Ann and Nancy Wilson play a hometown show in Seattle at Climate Pledge Arena November 23rd. If you bought tickets for the concert at the Gorge, you're getting pre-sale access to the new show. Tickets for the general public go on sale Friday. And some nature news to close things out. The Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium is celebrating what it's calling a rare botanical event. A 15-foot-tall agave plant that's been growing for 17 years is now in full bloom at the Desert Garden exhibit. These plants usually take about 20 years to mature. After that, the main stalk usually dies within 2 to 3 weeks of blooming. Point Defiance is going to host a special event so visitors can learn more about the agave and other plants in its botanical gardens this Sunday at 10 a.m. And an international panel of scientists says efforts to save endangered orcas aren't working on either side of the U.S.-Canada border. In a new report, they call for bolder measures to help the Northwest's endangered whales find more salmon to eat. Rob Williams is chief scientist with the nonprofit Oceans Initiative in Seattle.
Whatever it is we're doing collectively, cumulatively, is not enough. The population is still declining. The whales need more salmon and less noise.
Noise can prevent orcas from finding the salmon they hunt using echolocation. Many cargo ships have voluntarily slowed down in recent years to make less noise in orca waters. But scientists say they need to slow down more. Scientists are also calling for noise standards to be introduced to make the loudest ships quieter. Next time on Seattle Now, more interesting whale news. Researchers discovered a surprising orca behavior last year. They use tools socially to help groom each other.
It was a total surprise to see that they were using objects, using kelp as part of that behavior. It wasn't something we were looking for. It wasn't something we were expecting. The first couple times we saw it, we kind of were like, that's interesting. But, we'll put that in the data set. Whales do weird things sometimes. Maybe it's a one-off or a rare thing.
Hear that Thursday morning. That's all for today from the KUOW Newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Vaughn Jones, and I'm Patricia Murphy. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. See you later.